Hi, my name is Christian Delise. I have spent my whole life studying and dreaming about the future of cars. Throughout my career, I've been fortunate to work as a chief industrial designer in both advanced and production studios in some of the world's largest OEMs. I also have experience building startups like Hypervan, where I'm directing the engineering of the world's first hyperbaric oxygen ambulance. My passion is bringing never-before-seen vehicles to life. But I found it hard to witness the industry I love be in somewhat of a scramble the last decade. So, in 2020, we founded our own car company, Delise Automotive, as a solution to many of these challenges. Our mission is to make obsolescence obsolete. We're not reviewing the full car here today, but a brain treat. Okay, check this out. Just catch that? That is 120 years of automotive progress right there. Yeah. It's real disruptive. Who here is familiar with the marriage on the assembly line? Okay, so this is the part of the assembly line where the vehicle's powertrain, its backbone, is mated up to the body, and that product is locked into that for its entire existence. We believe this has been a marriage of convenience. We are rethinking the terms of this arrangement to serve a bigger purpose. But why do this? As many of you know, there's great risk involved in deciding and developing these product lines. So, what's going on in the market? Well, we did it. The average car payment hit $1,000, but the percentage of people upside down on their loan is a new record. Depreciation is also growing, and it doesn't. This is not a sustainable model. People are hesitant, dissatisfied, and they lack faith in cars, and for good reason. But what about OEMs? These are increasingly volatile times. Geopolitical shifts, supply chain problems, and increasing material costs. It's vital more than ever that we ensure that we're getting the most out of every raw material we put into cars. They need to last longer, be built to deliver more. But wait a second, we rely on planned obsolescence for continued revenue, right? We'll address that in a minute. We need to think more like nature in order to evolve in this industry. So we set out with a brief. Oh, there's a delay here. We want to design the most future-proof, adaptable, and profitable car online ever. It's not too hard, right? Somebody got to do it. So our principles center around long-term value, and it's data-proven that the most profitable brands have the best residual value. So how do we design for that? How would a car improve over time? Well, the first two principles really enable the third and most important principle, which is adaptability. Could a system like this not be more volatility-proof, but actually more resilient and thrive as a model? So to serve these principles, we separate the car into two mutually dependent systems. The part you care about, the part that ages, and the part that doesn't. So when you separate these two elements, we are calling the cabin and the deck. You create the potential for true circularity. So circularity is this concept where the life of the product has a longer life cycle, and you have other points of transaction along the way. So cabins and decks, they have different wattage, so we've engineered them to be repeatedly and seamlessly updated at any modern service center. When you do this, you create an ecosystem which enables easier tech integration, easier repairability, serviceability, and more opportunity for transactions. So to accomplish this, we're designing an architecture from the inside out. It's one vehicle with multiple logs. The cabin is ideally sized. It's an extension of your home. You pick the colors, the trim. It's an aerospace-grade safety cell for your failing. Typical car is engineered to last around 9-11. 1 minute remaining before it starts to have real problems. So the cabin is engineered for over 30 plus years. And it's also across all segments. So you'll have urban, long distance, utility, and towing. And our proprietary technology plug and plays into a variety of decks. The cabin can be configured in a modular fashion as well. The decks have a near greater range of functionality. So drivetrains, suspension systems, price points, this will all be modular and upfittable by the customer. So, what does this mean? Well, consumers get better residual value, more functionality, dealers get better serviceability, less downtime, and it's an asset where everybody wins. It's a less depreciating asset. So we're assembling a world-class team, multifunctional, talented individuals to build these prototypes.
And that's time. Nice you got it. Thank you, Christian. Appreciate it very much. Round of applause. Judges, whenever you're ready, 5 minutes in the ball.
So just a high-level question. Are you starting a car company, or are you going to set up some type of a licensing agreement where you're going to the OEMs and selling the tech?
The licensing is the long-term plan. So a lot of the plug-and-play tech under the hood, we do want to scale and standardize, but in order to prove this, you have to build the cars and put it out there. So yes, we're going to launch with a limited series and then scale from there. And the best thing about our model is it's very adaptable. So we've got a quicker profit line where you don't have to go from top tier down to mid tier as the traditional model does.
I mean, these OEMs have been at it for 100 years. They're very set in their ways about the process. How are you going to crack that? Like, how are you going to get in there?
So we got to make it more profitable, hands down. The planned obsolescence model was introduced in the 1920s by DM, and it's been massaged ever since with new color trim. We want to give best of both worlds, where you get the facelift, you get the functionality upgrade, you get new model lines out, but people are incentivized to keep and reinvest in their automobile longer over time.
The elongation of the ownership cycle is, a prop. It's a challenge for dealerships. It's a challenge for OEMs. So by you doing things to make that ownership experience even longer, are you hurting property holders?
So we're going to offset it by the circularity. So we believe that the efficiency EV revolution has kind of had its window, and that a lot of innovation in there is peaking. The next evolution of that innovation is going to be circularity. We're starting to see this pop up in Europe, the right repair, and incentivizing models where it's not only the right to improve your car, but it's part of the business model in the first place. So we just see it as another transaction opportunity where they could swap, whether you keep your car a year or 10 years, it's better residual value and it's better all around. So there's plenty of ways to make more money off a longer product than just trying to sell them the new one.
I tip my hat to me. It's far out. Like it's great.
It's very good.
Hey, Christian, super interesting. How do you go to market? You say you have to build the car, right? But how do you take the car and get it in the hands of the consumer or the user?
So we're first prototyping for a limited run, the under 5,000 mark, just to get a high margin product out there. But the great thing is that all the development on this model will plug right into the next model and subsequent models therein. So once we've affixed the hard points and locked in this architecture, it becomes really easy to scale and margin up, which is a real pain point in scaling on the companies. So we know it's one of the hardest products to develop and put on the road, so everything we're doing is to try to make that process easier.
Yeah, just help us understand, how do you get from, the model, the car itself, the market, the car itself, to the journey from that to potentially licensing it to the OEMs?
So we believe that once we put this model out there and we show people it's possible, and by the way, we've got a lot more development on this, including demonstration of the swap and the vehicle design. Once we put this out there, we feel like there's not going to be a going back, and people realize that they could invest in something like this. And we give it to early adopters first. We kind of prove out that smaller scale model where you have a 20% overstock my decks. Platforms that are already available. We're not developing this platform from scratch. We're just developing the intersection of it in the architecture. So we believe that once that happens, then the standardization inherits the air. What we found with this concept is it's a ripple effect. It starts solving more and more problems from operating system simplification, manufacturing, and different markets have different needs and they change all the time. So we feel like it'll be a kind of a no-brainer. 1 minute remaining that will be very attractive.
Your IP protection has got to be really, really broad. So what have you done for patents?
So of the 300,000 we've already spent, about 120 of that was been solely on IP. The rest is done engineering and CAD development. The 7 main patent families we have are being categories somewhat complementary, but some are system design, some are product design. And then within each of those, our next milestones would be to go deeper in those and look at the individual systems that we have to protect in order to standardize it and license it later.
Any more questions? You got a good? All right, good. Round of applause to Christian.